Hey, welcome to the chat.
Everything's great.
Everything is awesome. We haven't been venting for the past 20 minutes.
Correct. It's only been 9.
Anyways, we're going to play more Assassin's Creed Odyssey Discovery Tour. So,
Yay.
There
it is.
Let's
see, we've got like
3 daily
half
lives,
on most of these.
2 politics and philosophy, 2 more art and religion, 2... Okay, so we're more than halfway.
Yeah, but not by much.
They're suggesting that we do the perfume and daily life, but I'm liking opening it up to chat
I like the first one being vote.
Yeah, so...
so vote for category first?
Yes, we are voting on category first. First person that puts it in.
I guess not really voting.
Yeah, it's
speed typing.
It's speed typing, yeah. So, category.
But if you spell it wrong, it doesn't count.
Famous cities.
That's Famcus cities.
I don't know if that category exists, does it?
Famcus? I don't think so.
No, but famous, yes. All right, let's go there. Next one. Yours. You have to click the button.
I was debating if I was going to let it count because there was someone else voted right afterwards.
Oh, no, but that one was first.
Yeah, but I made up a rule while Jason was typing.
That's true.
Anyway.
Okay, so now...
Ooh, Gods of Olympia?
First person to type it in gets to pick which one. So we have Gods of Olympia, Agora of Athens, and Piraeus. How is this famous cities? I guess Athens, Olympia.
Yeah.
Okay. Acropolis. We already did that one.
Someone typed gods right before that.
Gods? Oh, gods. Yes, Gods of Olympia. Allison wins.
I don't totally remember this, but I'm going to believe
Jason
that we
and I
did
that one together. And that was our first stream.
All right, so let's go check out the Gods of Olympia.
Okay. Let's do it. Hope everyone else is doing okay, by the way. It's good to see you all in chat. Thanks for talking. I'm hoping that I can, get that 5 people
Does it,
going.
tell you when you make it to that? Or do you just have to,
Yeah,
guess?
or it will eventually.
Like a little, achievement thing?
It'll tell me, later. It'll be like, hey, good job, you did this. So, lots of achievements. I have been meaning to monetize this. I was supposed to do it this weekend. I didn't. I suck.
Instead, we played Salem.
We did play Salem.
That was fun.
I also cleaned the house all day on Saturday, which was really a good feeling.
I did that a couple weeks... Oh, right before my brother came to stay with me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my mom's dropping him off. She's going to see my house. I have to clean. She didn't even come inside.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, and he didn't care because he's a college kid.
He's a boy, yeah. College kid
So,
boy.
I mean, I agree. It was a good feeling to, have my house be briefly clean.
Yeah. I mean, we're in it all the time, so...
Well, my room was the one part that didn't get clean because my strategy was I'm just going to throw anything in here that I don't know where to put away, and then I'll just close the door.
Yeah. No, this room actually is the junk room where I just throw everything.
Yeah, you gotta have one of those.
Yeah, sadly. Hence why we have the green screen, because you don't want to see this mess.
Now I kind of want to look behind it.
No.
All right. So.
Yes. All right. So we are at Olympia. I'm guessing that must be Phidias's workshop. That building right there. I'm wondering if that's Phidias's workshop. But anyways, before we do all that.
Who's Phidias, real quick?
Phidias, was the guy who...
Because I recognize this from the main game.
Yeah, he is the guy who designed... He was the head architect of the Acropolis Periclean building program.
Okay.
He built, designed, did the whole thing, the giant sculpture of Zeus at Olympia.
Yep.
And of Athena in the Parthenon.
Okay.
So those giant statues that are yeah.
I think you're right about this building.
Is it?
Because
Okay.
there's a sculpting dude whose name I can't remember from the main game.
Phidias.
That you interact with several times and end up having to do quests with him.
Yep. He's a good guy. But he is the architect. Modern the best.
Oh, what do you think of this place?
Yes, what do you think of this place?
Practically vibrating with divine energy. I feel like if I look over my shoulder right now,
We're going to talk about this.
Okay.
back at me.
So the Sanctuary of Olympia was used as a place for Zeus as early probably in the prehistoric period, but we have evidence for it in the 8th century BCE.
Oh, wow.
So we're talking like 800 BCE. It's one of the oldest sanctuaries that we're like, and it's the biggest one to Zeus.
Right.
It has a huge ash altar, which is very cool, but does not, like, we don't have it today. It's gone. The problem is that this area is very susceptible to floods.
Oh,
And
really?
so, yeah, so it's got a lot of, like, flooding issues. But, honestly, that's most of anywhere lowland Greece.
Right.
So everything was kind of covered with
Right.
sediment and everything and had to be excavated out.
Oh, we're getting a request
Game
to...
dialogue.
Should I do
of
that in the
Scooch.
game, or do you want to do it in these settings?
Yeah, can you do it in game?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it in the settings first. Okay, live commentary, game audio. How about now? That might be too much. What's that? Actually,
I guess there's no dialogue, yeah, sorry.
The sanctuary of Olympia was dedicated to Zeus, king of the gods. It had close connections to the divine, as you will see very soon. I'll come find you when you're done, and we can talk about what you've learned.
Can't move the camera box to the left side because it covers up the facts.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, would top right be better, maybe?
Would top right?
I don't know.
You can try that. Back to this. It's always fun here. Ah, we're floating! Safe.
I think I was supposed to remind you to talk about these.
How about now? Better? Yay! Okay. That is a lifting device.
Really?
Yes. So remember, like pieces of ice, how they would.
Yeah.
So all you gotta
like
do is pull that
caliper-like
rope
things?
up, and that'll cause the calipers to pinch down.
Oh, right,
and
because they're on
those-
the... Whatever that's called, like axle-like thing.
So that'll cause it to,
Huh.
break in. So that means that to lift that big stone, all
Mm-hmm.
they would have to do is drill those 2 holes in a place where it's not going to matter
Right.
later on. So that's what they do. So that's one of several ways of lifting big old stones.
Do they just, like, have, like, a pulley system?
They have
or
a crane,
something?
yeah. They
Okay.
have a crane pulley system
Okay.
that's pretty intricate, detailed, and everything. So
Huh.
that allows them to do everything.
Greeks, so smart.
They are so intelligent.
Honestly, if I ran into this big block and I was like, this needs to be moved, I'd just be like, guys, someone else has to do this.
Yeah, I'm not doing
I'm going
that.
home.
I may be put like
I gotta go
logs
work
under
on my
it.
dissertation.
Logs under it maybe, but that's what they would use to move it long distances as opposed to like up. Up, yeah, would be difficult. One other way to do it though is to have a lifting boss, which is you leave a part of the
Oh.
stone undone.
Oh, like to move the,
Yeah, and
the
so that's
actual
gonna be, and then
sculpture.
when you put it in place, then you
Like break it off.
yeah, you chop that.
I really, at first, thought you might there just had to be one person in charge of lifting.
Just
Like,
get
there's a lifting boss.
Just get a boss to do it. Yeah.
I mean, it really, it's all space travel.
Mm.
That's like one of my favorite XKCD comics is like, I traveled here from the year 1982 to tell you blah, 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 like any random fact. Well, for me, it would be 86.
Ooh, can you look at that head? I see that head. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh, this, that Sphinx right there,
Yep.
is actually the one in Delphi that we saw last time on top of the big pillar. That's just a duplicate of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
should
kinda
go in
cool.
Delphi, but whatever.
Maybe it's being prepared.
And they probably were like, oh, we need to put something here.
Well, yeah,
We
I guess
have this
game development-wise, sure.
image that we had. Yes, except the Propylaea. The Propylaea in Athens still has the lifting bosses. Still
Oh,
there.
really?
They didn't
Like
take
they-
it off.
Well, they couldn't have forgotten, because obviously you'd see
No,
it.
but they were in the middle of the Peloponnesian War.
Right.
And they were like, you know what? This is good
Maybe
enough.
maybe not the
We're
best
done.
use of time.
We're done with this. And then what's fascinating to me is that no one else was like, hey, we should take these things off.
Huh.
They go through like thousands of years of people like tearing into buildings, remodeling, doing everything on the Acropolis. Like, and they
But
decided
they just, like, leave
no,
that?
no one wanted to tear those things off of there. Like,
Is there, like, the chance to, like,
OCD in
ruin it?
me? No.
Okay.
It's just like, yeah.
Like maybe you
The
break off half the
OCD in
person's
me
head or something?
hurts. Like, it hurts that I'm just like, just Just chip them off.
Well, you know what, Deb? Next time you're in Greece.
That'll get me kicked out for good, right?
Well, I'm just saying.
Coffee.
Could be a good last act.
Yeah. Well.
If you ever decide to, like, leave the field.
No, I don't. No. I mean, I could leave the field, but I couldn't leave Greece. I love Greece. All right, let's do this. Phidias.
This workshop was built for the renowned sculptor Phidias after his work on the Acropolis of Athens. In 435 BCE, Phidias came to Olympia to begin working on the great chryselephantine statue of Zeus. He died 5 years later, shortly after completing his masterpiece. This grand statue would become one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Phidias's workshop was located right next to the Temple of Zeus. Its structure has been well preserved, mostly owing to its conversion to a church in the 5th century CE. Archaeologists
Okay, they say the dialogue's still a bit quiet.
ancient materials
They say the music's okay, though. Yeah, sure.
such as casting molds and sculpting tools. The most
Also, while I do
famous
that,
artifact,
I guess
however,
I'll wait till this is done.
is a
There's a
card
question in
bearing
chat that I don't
inscription
understand.
that aggressively states, "I belong to Phidias."
No one touched me. Very passive aggressive. Ancient Greeks, man. They invented it.
I don't actually know where set up.
Controls?
Oh.
Nope. Main menu? Do we
Oh.
actually have to go all the way back to the main menu?
Nope, but this should work.
Options. Voice.
Well-
how is that up as down as it'll go?
I mean, I guess I could turn these two down and you could turn the
Yeah, let's do
overall
that.
thing up.
Yeah, there we go. Alright, and then I'll turn this guy up. Not that one. Which one? How about now? Hopefully. Well, we'll see.
Let me just make sure that's saved.
Yeah, so the Lewis bolt is very cool as well. The Greeks did use those as well. So whoever Lewis is, you stole it. Because the way that those work, Lewis bolts work, is I don't have a dry erase board. I was going to dry erase. Hush. We're teaching here. Alright, so, piece of paper. Let's pretend that this is a stone, right? So, if I was Greek, I would, and I wanted to use the Lewis bolt system, I would go like this and cut this into it, right?
Sure.
Like that. I would cut that hole into it. Then I would have 3 pieces, 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
Two are little guys that look and have like a hook or something, so that I can attach a rope to them
Sure.
to pull up, right? And I'll put one here, and I'll have it this way, and one here, and I'll have it this way,
Okay.
right? And then I will have a wedge.
Okay, I was going to ask
put
how
in
they don't
there.
just slide together.
Yeah, and so the wedge just goes into place. And then when these two want to be pulled up, they're not going to do anything, right? They're
Yeah.
not going to come out because the wedge keeps them in place. So yeah, that's the. And
I think
so
the
then it
caliper one
lifts it up
sounds
and goes.
more clever, but
We have both. We have evidence for all of those. So lifting bosses, Lewis system, and the ice clamps,
Right.
caliper guys. Those are the 3 main ways of lifting. I'm trying to think if there are others. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. But yeah, the Lewis one is the most
I provide
complicated
no
and,
additional
like,
information
the
on this
most,
stream.
Like interesting to me.
oh, they didn't get to see the final drawing.
Oh,
where
sorry.
You had your...
It's not that good. So you would put like the one into here and one into here, and then you'd put a wedge in the middle there. And that would keep, sorry, I didn't mean to flick you all off. That would keep it from, when you're pulling, then up like that.
Sorry, I'm just making faces.
Yeah, you are. Hopefully that makes sense.
All right. I'm going to start this next one because I want to know if the volume's too loud now.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
On the
I'll never-
fifth and final day of the Olympic Games, victors attended a ceremony where they were crowned with olive wreaths and showered in flowers. The crowns came from the sacred olive tree of Zeus, which was planted near the god's temple. A young boy trimmed the branches with a golden sickle before giving them to the Hellenodikai to turn into wreaths.
For the
After the crowning ceremony, it was time for great feasting and celebration.
Hellenodikai just means like Greek judges.
Oh, okay. I got like part of it sounded like Hellenic-ish.
Yeah.
But
So
I
it
didn't know
just
what the
means,
last
like,
part was.
The judges, who are gonna distribute them to everyone.
Yeah.
It's easier for us to turn it down a bit on our end. Okay, cool, good, awesome.
So they send a boy out with a golden sickle?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you gotta.
Hopefully there was like something to keep these people from just running off with
Well,
their
you don't
gold.
wanna. Well, yeah. Oh, so a lot of the temples actually are like they have rooms where you can store stuff. So that it won't be like stolen, but stealing from a
Yeah,
sanctuary
that's
is,
true. I
like,
guess that's
the
probably a bad
worst
idea.
thing. So it's probably not the best idea to do. But that's using religion as a law again.
Yeah, I guess we've had
As
plenty of
policing
examples of that.
devices.
Ooh, purple thing.
Ooh, purple thing. Is this the Palestra? Oh, okay, the gymnasium. Okay, that's the Palestra.
What's the
Okay.
Palestra?
Palestra is a wrestling area. Gymnasium actually doesn't have too much of a structure, but the Palestra actually does. And that's more of the wrestling school, whereas the gymnasium's general working out activities. But Palestra is where you're going to have, like, all of the wrestling and matches and stuff. And so you would... That's actually outside of the sanctuary limits, too.
Wait, the
that you
wrestling
can
one or the
do
gym?
The wrestling
Okay.
and the gym. They both are. But gymnasium, Greek, naked place.
Wait, really? Huh.
Gymnos means nudity, means nakedness.
I mean-
And you wrestle nude.
Well, sure, there's that, but I mean also for like... I mean, even now, really, like, lots of people who go to gyms feel comfortable being naked in at least the locker room areas.
That's true. Shocking.
In my experience. I don't know.
Maybe not anymore. No,
Yeah, I mean, at the men's side of the rec center, yeah.
you still have to wear a mask. I guess you do.
Well, no, I think it's closed.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Which is, well, yeah, it's sad. But, I mean, I'm glad
Someone
it's closed
saying,
because
yeah.
of sickness, but I
Yeah.
wish it would reopen when everything gets better because I miss going to the gym a little bit.
Yeah. I just...
But yeah, like when I would go there in the evenings, like I was on the same schedule as these couple old guys who were just, they would get done swimming or whatever they were doing and just sit around.
This is the university one?
Yeah, completely naked on the benches, just chatting with each other.
That's so fascinating to
Yeah.
me. I don't have any compulsion to sit around naked with my friends and talk.
I mean, so I was in a Greek fraternity. Not
Okay.
actually Greek, obviously, but, and when I first got there, like, so like during like initiation week, it was super weird because there were only 2 communal bathrooms and there were like 30-ish people living in the house.
Oh my god.
So there were 5 shower heads in the second floor shower and 3 in the third floor shower. And there was nothing dividing any of it. It was just this open shower space. And it was weird for the first couple days. And then once I fully moved in there in the fall, like it eventually got to the point where it'd be like Saturday afternoon, be like, hey man, you showered? No? Oh, grab a beer. Let's go have a shower together.
So
And you just
weird.
hang out, drink a beer in the shower and chat, talk about life. And so yeah, it got to feel like really not weird until I remember I started dating this girl and I mentioned this to her, and this was after college, and she was like, wait, what? Go back a little bit. And she was like, that's real weird. And I was like, yeah, but if you live with 30 guys and get used to it, it just stops feeling weird after a while.
It's
So yeah.
amazing what we get used to.
Yeah, and I still, admittedly, like at the rec center, like when I go swimming, I feel a little weird just getting naked even just to change.
Yeah.
I still do it, but I'm just like going as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, these old guys who are just totally willing to sit around at the gym, just chatting.
Kudos to them, man.
I mean, yeah, it's not against the rules, I don't think.
I guess not.
You're in a locker room. It's just locker room changing.
I'm trying to... Wait, before you hit that,
Uh-huh.
look around for me for a little bit.
Are you gonna guess
so
what
I
it
can
is?
figure out where we are. I don't think we're at the ash altar. I don't know what this is. Let's go for it. Oh, okay. You're just gonna show us an
Oh.
altar. It's not the giant ash altar, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
kind of disappointing.
I mean, we could talk about like ritual sacrifice stuff, but I think we already have mentioned some of it.
Oh, there's another purple thing down here.
What's really pretty.
Guess on this?
I don't, except that I don't think it's like part of the Palestra. They're just sitting around. Oh, it's a well. Oh, is this the Roman well? I feel like this well wasn't here.
This comes up in the
Roman
main
period.
game when you play through as well.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they could either be talking about it as a stoa or a well. I'm guessing they're going to talk about it as fountain houses. Maybe sacred water as well, but we'll see.
Oh. Well, that was misleading.
Okay, cool.
I expected it to be about that well area, not about the statue.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a victor, you could put up statues and things, and you could, you get lots of privileges as a victor.
I was going to
It's
ask,
not-
like, how much information you know about that.
Yeah, so victors, I mean, the only thing that you definitely get is a wreath. And it's just like a crown or whatever, and it depends on the game, like the sanctuary that you're at, as to what you're going to get as a wreath.
Really?
So at the Olympics, it's olive. It's olive leaves in a wreath. At Delphi, it's Daphne leaves. It's laurel.
Oh, so they had games at multiple places.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's actually 4 Pan-Hellenic games. Pan-Hellenic means like all Greeks. And so all the Greeks could participate in those 4.
Okay.
But every city really had its own as well. So like Athens had the Pan-Athenaic Games, which is just for Athenians to participate in.
Oh, okay.
Because Greece is very much what's called a oh man, I'm gonna lose it. It's very competitive, agonistic. That's it. It's a very agonistic society, not agnostic. It's not agnostic. It's agonistic, meaning that they compete. They push each other to be better, and so striving with one another is a privilege.
Okay, yeah, because I was thinking of the like term agonist used in like medicine, where
Oh,
like
I
things
don't know that
kind of
one.
like compete with each other in terms
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
of, or antagonist, I guess,
Yeah,
from like
antagonist
literature.
is the same way. So yeah, you get this competition, and Hesiod, one of our early authors, tells us there are 2 types of strife. One is the good type that makes you compete with your neighbor and makes you, want to have the greener grass, and makes you, it's like mowing envy. My neighbor and I were talking about this the other day.
About what?
Mowing envy.
Like you're talking about like literally like mowing grass?
You hear your neighbor mowing, and you're like, oh crap, I gotta go out and mow my lawn too, because so-and-so's mowing their lawn. So yeah, my neighbor and I were talking about this the other day. He was like, yeah, so-and-so down the street mows his yard 3 times a week, and I rah, 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 rah. And he gets all mad, and then I feel like I need to mow. And I was like, oh, I only get out and mow when you mow, so...
See, if you live in a condo, the condo association just does all of it.
If only. But I like mowing lawn. But
I actually do like it too, but I'm not allowed. I'm
very,
literally
like-
not allowed where we live.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Greece is a very agonistic society. They're competing with each other.
Yeah.
The bad type of strife is the one that's like makes you a bad person in general, and like you cheat and you steal and you do all that. That's the bad type of strife. But the good type is self-improvement.
Huh.
And making yourself better so that you fairly
Yeah, that makes
have,
sense.
this. So there's no prize for second place.
Oh,
in
really?
any of the games.
Huh.
Yeah. You either get the wreath or you don't.
There's no participation trophy?
No. Sadly. Sorry, America.
No. All right. That's
But, yeah.
why that Greek civilization isn't around anymore. They
Maybe.
needed participation trophies.
Maybe it should be back. I miss Greece. I miss Greece so much.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Guesses
go
on
ahead.
guesses on this? It's gonna be these statues.
Well, that's the Temple of Hera behind you, or up in front of you, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, but I feel like it's got to be something down here. I just don't know what.
It could be those statues, but I don't think those are the statues that are sacred to Zeus. The zones, or what they're called. Those are the ones that you have to establish. You have to like set up when you, if you are caught cheating.
Oh wait, what?
Yeah.
Like in the games?
I'm sure they'll tell us this.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll tell us this. Let's go ahead for this one. Oh, just hero cults. Okay, cool. There are hero cults. It's like
Man.
ancestor worship.
These purple things have been disappointing so far. Keep expecting them to be much more.
Well, they're just the purple ones. They're not the... They're just the little guys. Daisy, you smell. Stinky. You stinky dog.
Pelops was both a legendary Greek hero and the mythical founder of the Olympic Games. According to legend, Pelops fell in love with the beautiful Hippodamia. Her father, Oenomaus, the king of Pisa, disapproved of their union. Having
not
once
theirs,
heard a
everyone's.
prophecy that he would be killed by his son-in-law, Oenomaus was known to challenge his daughter's suitors to chariot races, killing them when he won.
Oh my God.
Still, Pelops was determined to win Hippodamia's heart. Before the race, he enlisted the help of Poseidon, who gave him a golden chariot with 4 winged horses. Pelops was able to win both the race and the hand of his beloved, while Oenomaus was dragged to death by his horses. The start of this famous race was depicted on the eastern pediment of the Temple of Zeus.
There's 2 outcomes, basically, or where... So in one version, Pelops gets magic horses.
No second place.
No second place! You die. So in one version, Pelops gets magic horses from Poseidon.
Yep.
Because it's his lover, actually.
Wait.
They're lovers.
Pelops and Poseidon.
Pelops and Poseidon were sleeping together.
So he's cheating on Poseidon with the woman he wants to marry?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know.
It's Greek.
I mean, you're still expected to get married.
That's true. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I think it was more when he was younger.
Okay.
A younger boy. It was that pederastic relationship. But anyways, so that's one version. The other version is much more fun.
Mm-hmm.
He bribes the charioteer, Oenomaus' charioteer, to replace the pin that holds the chariot part to the horses. To replace that pin with the lead and wax pin that once it heats up, melts.
Wouldn't this be an example of like the bad strife?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So that's why this one, I like this one because he bribes the charioteer saying like, look, I'll give you whatever you want. And he's like, oh, I want first night with Hippodamia.
Does he agree to that?
He says, all right, fine, whatever, yeah,
Okay.
no big deal. And then after Oenomaus dies, because, you know,
Right. His chariot basically falls
crashes,
apart.
Yeah. He reneges on the agreement. He says like, nope, never mind, you don't get first night.
I mean, I don't know if I'd trust someone who's trying to cheat at a chariot race to win the heart of a woman whose dad wants to murder him.
Yep.
To keep his word after the fact.
It's so Greek, right?
Yeah.
So, Myrtilus is the charioteer.
Mm-hmm.
Myrtilus tries to rape Hippodamia.
Okay.
And Pelops throws him off of a cliff. As he is dying, he does kind of a Hans Gruber, like, falling thing. And he's like, ah! And he curses Pelops.
Oh, no,
and
that's not usually good news.
Yeah, no. And all of his family. And so his family is cursed, and this is what's called the curse of on the house of Atreus, because a descendant of Pelops will be called Atreus.
Okay.
And then this leads to all the bad things that happen at Mycenae. So.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board with, like...
Rapists should be thrown off cliffs.
Yeah, but I don't think they should have the power to curse people throwing them off cliffs then.
No, I mean, you know, the whole thing was just...
So, like, in general Greek mythology, can just anyone curse anyone? If you're, like... Do you have to be, like, angry enough, or desperate enough? Or...
Yeah, you have to be...
Gotta be some sort of limitation.
Kind of in the right, I suppose, because he was being killed.
I guess.
In the process of
Yeah, that's
dying.
true. The Greeks seem to have, like, very strict views on, like, even if you did something wrong, if someone else did
Don't
something
kill
wrong
someone.
to you...
Yeah, maybe don't kill someone. Just
you get some
exile
sort of
them.
revenge.
Yeah. You usually just exile them or something
Sure.
like that. But, yeah. So that was one thing. What was the other? What were we talking about? I lost train of thought.
Oh, I was asking about if anyone can curse anyone.
Oh. So the other way that you can curse people, we actually have curse tablets. They're made of lead.
Oh,
lead
wow.
in general is seen... Well, okay, so it's easy to, like, pound into a, you know... Because it's soft.
Yeah, yep.
So you pound it into a sheet, a very thin sheet, and then you write the curse.
Sure.
And then you wrap it up, and you put it wherever you want to curse that person.
Sure.
So you can find them actually in, like, cemeteries.
Whoa.
Where people are like... And they, like...
It's kind of rude. Yeah. They're already dead. And you have a question about curse dolls?
Were there Greek curse dolls? I don't think there's any, like, voodoo. You would draw, though. If you wanted, like, someone to be hurt, you could draw a picture of them.
Okay.
And then, like, stab that part. So in that way, it was kind of voodoo.
I'm a little surprised that they don't have curse dolls, given that they left replicas of body parts for being cured.
Yeah, that's true. But those were more permanent. Maybe
True.
the dolls were like made of material that we don't have.
Just don't have.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it could be made out of like cloth or something that disintegrates. They have voodoo dolls in the Caribbean Coast? Really? Gonna look it up now. I know the Caribbean Coast has a lot of really... Because Caribbean Coast was used as a cemetery.
Oh, okay.
Caribbean Coast has a lot of really interesting stuff. A lot of curse tablets, a lot of like tombs, a lot of steeling, which are the gravestones.
I was going to say, I
that are
remember us
really
talking about
beautiful.
those, but...
They're really well done. But, Margie showed it to us. Oh, man. This must be someone from my, the year that I spent in Greece, 2 years that I spent in Greece.
Oh.
So this is someone from there, because Margie is Margie Miles. She's a scholar from, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I really should activate channel points and stuff. Yeah, Allison, you and I are going to have to work on that one day. I love you. Alright, let's do this.
The Heraion was a temple dedicated to Hera. It is one of the oldest temples in the sanctuary, dating back to approximately 590 BCE. The structure included columns painted with images of women who won the Heraia, an athletic competition made up of running events. Every 4 years, 16 women were chosen to make a veil dedicated to Hera. These women also organized the competition, though they did not compete in it. The Heraia was unique for its focus on female athletes, in contrast to the male-exclusive Olympic
Virgins.
Games.
Oh.
You can't be married.
Is
And
that...
all they did was run. That was the
Right,
only
yeah,
game
they-
they could do, was run.
But,
That's it.
I mean, I'm honestly a little surprised that that exists at all. I mean, it's
Yeah.
cool, but, like,
But it's
is the virgin thing, like, a religious thing, or is it just that once you're married, that's your deal?
You shouldn't be like,
Okay.
you know,
You
should be
can't- you
married.
can't
shouldn't be,
focus
like,
on
running
non-household
around.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, and weaving.
Yeah, always weaving. That's all you do is weave. Just weave, 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 weave. And spin. Yeah, a little bit.
Well, yeah, I assume it's also based in sexism. I didn't know if there was something about... Because, like, in a lot of religions, like, being a virgin has some sort of special significance for reasons that aren't just societal or
Yeah,
whatever.
most of it is, like, so virgins are important for priestesses and religious offices. So it's that idea of...
Oh, and originally the Oracle, right?
Yeah.
Before
Before
that
the
didn't
whole,
work out.
like, yeah. So she was a young girl. And then they were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that. Okay, so fascinating thing about the Temple of Hera. Pausanias describes being in there, right? And the Temple of Hera is one of the oldest temples in that was constructed not just on the site but in most of Greece.
Oh, really?
So much so that the columns were wood originally, and so they would have to replace them over time, and eventually they replaced them with stone. So each one gets replaced over
at,
the
like,
course
different
of,
time?
at different times, so they all look different.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And when Pausanias is there, he says there's one left that is, and he's there around like 200, 300 or CE. So yeah, 250 CE. And he says one of them is still wood.
Wow.
Yeah, but you can actually like track the capitals, the top of the.
That's like hundreds and hundreds of years that it's been around then, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's really fascinating. So that one is cool. And then also while he's in there and he's describing all of the stuff, he says like, oh, there's this statue of this, there's this statue of this, yada, yada, yada. He says that there is a statue of Hermes holding baby Dionysus. We have it.
Wait, really?
We have it.
Huh.
We have the exact one. It's in the museum because they went and they excavated and they were like, dude,
He was not
look
making
at this.
that up.
He was not making it up. Here is that statue.
Huh.
And so it is still there.
That's pretty cool.
It is very cool. So we don't have all of it, which is weird to me that it's like, wait, why are we missing pieces of it then? If it was like, this is the place where it was in 250 or whatever.
And you found it, so it's
Yeah.
not like it... Okay.
But whatever. It's probably bad excavation techniques or something, or who knows.
Yeah, those archaeologists.
Early archaeologists. Early archaeologists. It is in the Olympia Museum in Olympia.
Hera was the goddess of women, marriage, family, and childbirth. She ruled Mount Olympus as Queen of the Gods, along with her husband and brother Zeus. Many mythological stories paint her as being annoyed at Zeus's many lovers and illegitimate offspring. In Greek art, Hera is usually depicted as matronly and regal, often wearing a crown or sitting on a throne. She is also sometimes seen holding a pomegranate, a symbol of both fertility and death. Hera's cult was very popular across Greece, and Olympia even minted her image on its coinage.
I was gonna say something, and now I can't.
Oops.
No, you're fine.
Oh, I didn't know what I did though.
Oh, she's often shown veiling herself or unveiling herself, one of the two, because she's the goddess of marriage.
Right.
And veiling is
Veiling still a big deal back in Greece?
actually so the whole like veiling
By
a
still,
bride.
I mean that was actually back
the
in
whole
Greece.
like veiling a bride thing is Greek.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a way. It's also a symbol of mourning as well. And really, like marriage ceremonies in general in ancient Greece are pretty much like death ceremonies in the same kind of way. There's a procession. There's the bride is veiled. She's taken away in a chariot, and it's this idea of abduction or like marriage by seizure, by like taking the person
That feels
out of
a
their
little
home.
weird, but
It is
okay.
very rapey.
Yeah.
The issue, we still have it today though, where it's like the father walks the bride down the aisle.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
true,
they're
and,
like,
like,
"Oh,
gives
who
her
gives
away,
This,
yeah.
who gives this woman
Yeah,
to
I
be
never
married?"
think
And
about
it's
that.
like, why don't we do that with the groom? It's because of this stuff.
Yeah.
It goes back, you know. So the husband and the bride's father make the arrangements.
Yeah.
The bride rarely gets a say.
Right. Oh yeah, because we talked about that when we went through like the
mother
women
rarely
in
gets a
Greek
say,
society
right?
thing.
So this idea of like the dead being like carted away, separated from everyone else. The veil separates her from everyone else because she's now no longer.
They're just trying to acknowledge, like, look, we're sorry, but
It's
your life's
over.
basically done.
It's over. You're going home. So then she goes to her new home,
Right.
right? And that's when
Oh, it
she's
gets
unveiled.
unveiled, sure.
Because now she is here in this place, and now this is a new person. Basically, she now has a new role. She's no longer a child.
Yeah,
She is now, hopefully, going to be a mother.
sure.
Yay! Ancient Greece. And modern society today.
Yeah.
So this temple is much smaller than Zeus's, but it is older than the one that is there today.
It
The
was
one
like
to
that.
Zeus is like a second, third, fourth.
Okay, I was gonna say, didn't you
version.
say Zeus's was like one of the oldest? You mean the original?
Yeah, the original. We don't have.
Oh, right, because of all the flooding and all.
Yeah. Well, and they built on top of,
Right.
put a more permanent one on top of it.
Yeah.
The ash altar, by the way, is just over there. That's the ash altar.
Oh,
To
aptly named.
Yeah. Women can only walk up a certain height of it.
Like, you mean it like in
Yeah.
this sense?
Yeah, like
Like they're only allowed to go so far?
Yeah, they're only allowed to go so far. So women couldn't go all the way to the top. Only men could go all the way to the top to make their sacrifices.
What is there a significance of this specifically?
This is the altar to Zeus. So it's
Okay,
like the
I didn't know
most
if like
important altar.
something
yeah.
about the ash was significant.
No, it's like the most important altar too.
Okay.
And
So you
they
just burn a
they
lot of
don't
stuff here?
usually you clean up,
Right.
but they didn't
Didn't?
at this one because I guess the symbol of
How else
like,
are you gonna know
how
it's so
long
used?
It's been there. Yeah, it's been there for a while.
Oh, well, get down. I feel like I missed a purple thing.
Yeah, that's alright.
Okay.
Oh, those are the Zeuses. Those are the cheaters.
Oh, these are the things that you had to build
Yep.
if you were caught cheating? Or-
Ozones.
Huh.
They're statues of Zeus, and if you were caught cheating,
Uh-huh.
you had to pay a fine,
Right.
and that fine would be used
To
to
build.
build that statue, and then your name would be put on the statue.
Ah, okay. I was going to ask, I was like, I'm surprised it didn't have to be like a statue of them or something.
No, your name would be then put on the bottom.
Well, that
And
kinda
saying,
sucks.
Like, so-and-so dedicated this because he cheated.
I mean, yeah, good. You probably shouldn't cheat at the games that you're supposed to be competing in.
Yeah.
But
One of the highlights of the Olympic Games was a ceremony that took place on the third day of the festival. It began with a procession of athletes, ambassadors, Hellenodikai, and animals. The group made their way around the Altis until they arrived at the Temple of Zeus. Then
Altis
the
is a
animals
sanctuary
were brought in
spot.
front of the
The whole
altar of
sanctuary is called the
Zeus
Altis.
and offered as a sacrifice. This sacrifice was known as a hecatomb, a word that originally described the sacrifice of 100 oxen. During the hecatomb, the bones and legs of the animals were burned and carried to the top of a mound of ashes from previous sacrifices. Meanwhile, the meat of the animals was saved for a large banquet held later in the evening.
Yeah, because Heka is 100?
Mm-hmm.
I only know that because there's a D&D monster that's like
Oh,
Heka...
Hecatonchires?
Yeah, the 100-handed one.
100-handers.
Yeah.
They're actually Greek.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
One
it's
of my
a monster in
students-
D&D, too.
Yeah, so I used an image from a D&D
Oh, like book?
book to describe it to
Mhm.
students.
Yeah.
And finally, after using that image for, I'm going to say 15 years almost,
Wow.
one student came up to me and was like, that's from a D&D book, isn't it? And I was like, man,
That would have been me,
job."
because I actually know the
Oh.
image that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. It's like lots of hands. and
Yeah, which
it's
makes
like
sense.
A, almost pillar.
Like a
of,
tower.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I own that book.
Do you really?
I do. I own too many D&D books, given that I play like once every 4 years.
I ended up taking it off, I think, at one point, because I was like, all right, someone got it. I feel like I should take it off now.
That's like, I mean,
See how
totally
long it
unrelated,
takes.
but like, there was a professor in our department who, for the longest time, until a student came to his office hours and asked, he would make endless Ricky Martin references in his lecture slides just to see if someone would be like, what's the deal with you and Ricky Martin? And there wasn't one, other than he did it one year because he thought it was funny.
That's funny.
And then he was like, I'm going to keep doing this until a student mentions it.
Yeah.
And I think he did it for like 8 years. But I'm talking like, we would get to like, so he taught like cognitive psychology.
Uh-huh.
We'd get to slides about visual perception, and he would like be like, oh, the images actually get reversed in how they're represented on your occipital lobe. So if you're looking at a picture of Ricky Martin, this is how your neurons are representing it, kind of thing. And when we did sound perception, he would play clips from Ricky Martin songs, and like every lecture had like a reference to Ricky Martin in it somewhere.
I love this. I need to do something like this.
It was really well, because like the student finally came to my office hours as the TA and was like, what's the deal with Professor Hazeltine and his Ricky Martin stuff?
Oh, so no one has the balls to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
The Olympic Games were dedicated to Zeus, and all the ceremonies and events were hosted in his honor. It is no surprise that the largest temple in the sanctuary was the Temple of Zeus. While most temples were restricted to priests, the Temple of Zeus welcomed all who visited Olympia. This
Oh.
openness was most likely
Careful,
meant
eh?
to show off the gold and ivory statue of Zeus that stood within the temple's walls. The building also featured art depicting both versions of the Olympic festival's founding myth. The eastern pediment showed
that guy
a
getting
scene
trampled?
from the legendary race
Yeah.
between Pelops and Oinomaos.
So
The
this is
temple's
not.
metopes,
That is
meanwhile,
not.
showed
Oh,
the 12
that's not it.
figures
That's
of
not-
Heracles,
that's
the
not what
other
it was like.
mythical founder of the games.
So one side of the temple,
Mhm.
in the pediment, the triangular section
Yeah.
at the top, one part shows the race, the chariot race between between Oinomaos and Pelops.
Mhm.
Has Hippodamia there and everything. It looks fine. Great. The other side has a Centauromachi. It's a battle with centaurs.
Oh, okay. So it is what it sounds like.
Yep. So it's a battle with centaurs.
Mhm.
And it shows like women being like pulled away by centaurs, and then Theseus
Mhm.
coming in with his friend Perithous to like kill all the centaurs, basically.
Sure.
So it's very cool, but it's just like, yeah, it's not this.
Huh.
This is interesting. I'm guessing that the guy holding the boulder
Mhm.
is a giant because he has a snaky body.
I was going to ask what was with the
Mhm.
snakes coming out of his legs.
So the snakes coming out of his legs means that he's born from the earth.
Disapprove.
And giant actually means born from Gaia.
Oh, I guess that kind of makes sense.
So that's why it
Oops.
doesn't mean like really big. It means.
I
you know,
really do not like this
Or
depiction,
that.
though. I do not like legs turning into
Yeah,
snakes.
Yeah, that's really creepy.
We're going to crawl down.
And I'm guessing
Oh.
that if this is like the
Oh.
one where giants are, well, no, centaurs did that. Never mind. I was thinking of who would be holding up a boulder like that.
Mhm.
It was centaurs that killed Cainius. Cainius? No. Yes. Yeah, the guy who was once a girl was raped by Poseidon. Poseidon felt bad, so he said, I'll give you anything that you want. And she said, I want to be a man.
Okay.
And so Poseidon not only made her a man, but also made her impenetrable.
I was really afraid that was going to involve snakes somehow.
Nope,
Okay.
impenetrable, because, sex.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So some centaurs are trying to kill him, and they can't because he's impenetrable.
Right.
And so they drive him like a
this
stake
clearly ends
into
badly.
the ground
Oh, God.
with the boulder until
Yeah.
he suffocates on the earth.
Oh,
So he penetrates Gaia.
really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's all very like sexual and.
Yeah, that's
as
a terrible way to
It's
die.
a terrible way to die. I feel bad for Canius.
For like a number of reasons.
Zeus was the god of sky
Kings are
and
rough.
thunder, and king of the Olympians. He ruled the world from his home on Mount Olympus. The child of Cronus the Titan, Zeus overthrew his father and cast the Titans out in a great battle known as the Titanomachy. He had children of his own with his wife Hera, including Ares, Hephaestus, Hebe, and Eileithyia. He also had many children
different
without
versions
Hera,
if
much to her
Hephaestus was-
consternation. But there are too many to list here. Zeus was believed to have control over the
Burn.
lives of mortals, as his many epithets attest to. For example, his title Horkios made him a keeper of oaths, while Xenios was the name conferred to him as a protector of hospitality. In Greek art, Zeus was usually depicted holding a thunderbolt and sitting on a throne, befitting his position as king.
I mean, standing, holding a thunderbolt. If he was sitting on a throne, he wasn't holding a thunderbolt.
Ah,
Many things to unpack there.
okay.
Any questions?
Well, the first one is probably the least relevant, so if there's things you want to say first, just go ahead.
Epithets?
Yes.
Epithets.
Yeah.
Epithets are, the way that I describe them to students
Mm-hmm.
is they are like letters, like forms of address.
Okay.
And so there's Zeus, great. But Zeus has a lot of responsibilities and a lot
Right.
of roles. So if he has a lot of roles, you probably want to tell him which one you're wanting him
Oh,
to
so he
fulfill,
knows like what you're
right?
like worshiping
So
him for?
My example is, all right, so if you're writing an email to me, Dr. Trusty.
Gotta pray to the right doctor to you.
Yes! I love my students. Yeah, so
I assume this is how you've explained this before.
Yeah. So if you want, an A
Sure.
in the class,
Study
you wanna
hard.
Pray, well, yeah, that. Study hard. Pray to Dr. Trusty, right?
Sure.
Don't pray or write an email to Deb. That's not going to fly, right? Because Deb is probably sitting on the couch, playing video games, drinking a beer, walking her dog. She doesn't care
All of those things?
about her email. Not all at the same time. That would be talented, though.
Yeah.
She
'cause
doesn't
you
care,
could be
though.
using a yo-yo to walk the dog while sitting on the couch.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, sorry. No, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So you want to say, hey, Dr. Trusty, I want this.
Yeah.
So, hey, Zeus Herkios,
Sure.
I'm making an oath.
Oh, so it turns out my question was not the least relevant.
No.
Because, like, it threw me off. I was going to ask this when we did, I think it was the Greek household tour
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And they said that there was, like, a statue of Zeus, some epithet.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one.
It wasn't Horkios.
Or no, it was like their little altar thing was for
Yeah.
him, for some version
Yeah,
of
the
Zeus.
little home
And I
one.
was like, I didn't want to ask then, because I was like, this is going to make me look dumb. But
No.
now I guess I wish I'd asked. But I was wondering, are there, like, different Zeuses, or is this just calling to
Yeah, it's like different roles.
Zeus the whatever?
Yeah, and it's not just his, like, responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It can also be, like, a way of flattering them as
Ah.
well. So you could say, like, golden-haired Demeter,
Sure.
right? Or sweet-smiling Aphrodite. Laughter-loving Aphrodite. Sorry, is another one. So all of those kind of, like, ways of flattery.
Yeah, okay.
So it doesn't just have to be like, hey, I'm doing this role, but also like, hey, really good-looking Zeus.
Really good looking Zeus.
Yeah. My students
Here's an
sometimes
ox.
write Homeric hymns. So one of my things
Yeah.
is to have them as an activity write a Homeric hymn
Yeah.
with their group to someone who is not Greek. That is
Oh.
something that you encounter every day or something.
Oh,
or
I
maybe
get it.
it's like a superhero or a pop star.
Sure.
So every now and then students will write one to me. And they'll be like, oh, Dr. Trusty of the curly locks, and coffee drinking, because if it was an early morning class, I would be drinking coffee, and yeah, it was adorable. I've saved them over the years, too.
Yeah, I need better group activities for when I teach. It's hard to work them in with the classes. Like, statistics, it was really rough.
Oh, sure. There's an animal messing with our green screen.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
All right. Wait, you said there was a bunch to unpack there. Was there other stuff you wanted to say?
Yeah, there was. So,
I'm going to wander away from these people that are praying loudly.
So, why are there carpets everywhere?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Is this not accurate?
I mean, okay, so, those are really expensive. They're going to be, like, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, even the few cases we get of, like, tapestries and things being put on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
there's one from Agamemnon, which is a play by Aeschylus.
I've read Agamemnon.
Have you?
Well, a long time ago, yeah.
There's some really great, like, plays on words there because so Clytemnestra, Agamemnon's wife, is welcoming him back from Troy.
Mm-hmm.
She does not like him because he killed their daughter 10 years earlier. And
I think we talked about this at one point, too.
So, in Agamemnon, she lays out a beautiful purple tapestry on the ground for him to walk on.
Sure.
And she says, like, your feet should not touch the dirt. You're such a, like, esteemed general or whatever, right? And he's like, oh, I really shouldn't do this. This is very, like, arrogant of me to walk on such a beautiful piece of, weaving.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, I insist. And she's like, and he says something like, only the gods can do this, something like this.
Sure.
But he ends up walking.
Let me get
on
off
it.
this carpet real quick.
Yeah. And she then will kill him in his bath by throwing a tapestry over him, or a cloth over him, like a net.
Sure.
So there's a lot of, like, net metaphors and fishing metaphors, and then they stab him.
Right. Yeah, because the net probably wasn't going to do it on its own.
Yeah. Good reason Agamemnon sucks. Yeah. Libation Bears is interesting as well. Libation Bears, he has, there's weaving there as well. He has a head thing or an outfit or something. He has something that his sister wove. And yeah, she recognizes her handiwork. Someone recognizes something with the tapestry. Anyways, there's lots of stuff in that one too. But yeah, this is overly gaudy.
Sure.
But we've seen that a lot.
Yeah. The statue's also too big.
I mean, I'm not really even sure what those statues are, honestly. Also, from what we're told, there should be some... So in front of the statue of Zeus, or around that statue, there should actually be a pool that holds olive oil.
Really?
And it
wow,
helps,
that sounds expensive.
Yeah, well, it helps to keep the ivory from
really?
decaying.
Interesting.
Because Olympia is very moist in general, so the olive oil helps, like, protect it. And so priests would pour olive oil on the statue because it's ivory. Right?
Yeah.
It's going to, like, break down. But the one on top of the Acropolis in Athens, that is not a humid area. That one is actually lacking humidity. The Parthenon lacks humidity.
So what did they do for that one?
They put water around it so
Very
that
practical.
it would keep the moisture in there.
Yeah.
Also, it served as a nice reflecting pool for light as well.
Oh.
So, but it was, it's kind of, it's moist in this area, so they
The
need
Temple
to
of Zeus
do something
was
to keep
home
it
to the
protected.
Chryselephantine statue of Zeus, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The statue, made of gold, ivory, and wood, was sculpted by the renowned artist Phidias. At 13 meters tall, it was as impressive looking as it was difficult to maintain. Oil was used to protect the wood and ivory from cracking, and to prevent general decay. While the statue does not exist today, it was thankfully described by Pausanias in great detail, so its legacy lives on.
Oh yeah, I think they said at the first stop that Phidias died like a couple years after finishing this. I mean, obviously, whatever, he was dead, but like, wouldn't it have been cool to live long enough to know that like your statue turned out to be super epic? I mean, I'm sure he felt like I'm sure he felt that way, but
And he had done the one in Athens as well.
Yeah, 13 meters, though.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Said that if it stood up, it would go through the roof.
Yeah, I guess I could picture that. Huh.
Pretty big.
All right, we ready for our quiz?
Yes. Was that it, really?
Yeah, that was 9 of 9.
They didn't talk about, like, I guess the Zonis were probably in the Olympic Games.
Is there a separate one for the Olympic Games?
I think there was, and I think Jason and I played it.
Ah. Because it's weird, because they did mention the Olympic Games a lot here.
Again. I hope you enjoyed your visit and feel a little bit closer to the gods. Well, as close as a mortal can. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Oh, wait, quiz.
Ready for the
Excellent.
quiz?
Let's see what you remember. Your first question is a simple one. Which goddess was Zeus's wife?
Okay, that may be a little too easy. I feel like most people probably wouldn't have needed the tour for that.
Correct! Not only was Ida Zeus's wife, she was his sister as well. But let's move on to the next question. What kind of contest did Pelops win in his quest to marry Hippodamia? Yes, Pelops won a chariot race, thanks to Poseidon's help.
As long as we don't have to deal with too many obscure Greek names, I can usually figure out the right answer.
What was inscribed on the cup found near
You
Phidias'
remember this.
workshop?
Do I? Let me see what the answers are. Oh, yeah.
I like sculptor extraordinaire, though.
I like
World's
keep calm.
best dad.
I like keep calm and create one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was.
I'm gonna pick that one.
No, that would be a little too on the nose.
Oh, okay.
Correct! Apparently, Phidias was very possessive of his things. Perhaps someone from the sanctuary kept stealing them. But I'm getting off track. Excellent work, friend! You honor the gods with your great wisdom.
Alright, so here's the question.
Yes.
Do we let chat vote on the next tour, or do we just do
We have
random?
a lot of chat. I feel like maybe we should. We have a lot of people in chat right now.
Okay.
Farewell for now, my friend.
Goodbye, Barnabas.
All right, chat. We're going to let you guys pick. And if there's one that maybe I did with Jason that you guys want me to go through with Francis, I can too.
Oh, yeah, the weird comment about things getting stolen.
Yeah.
I feel like that was just flavor.
All right, but we're opening it up to chat. What category? First person gets it.
It's actually how voting's going to work in Iowa City in November. It's just
Really?
the first person to the polling station.
I mean,
It's the only
we're
vote
in
that counts.
Iowa. It's kind of like,
Oh.
yeah.
Art.
Art. Art it is. Let's go to art. Let's see here. So we have, there was the Olympic Games. So School of Greece music or School of Greece theater. Music or theater? Music or theater? Theater! Theater it is.
I'm going to be intrigued by this. I used to know a decent amount about Greek theater.
Yeah.
Well, I did theater
that's
for
right.
like 15 years. And like at the art center that I did acting classes at, you did like classic acting methods as well too. So we
Oh.
went through like Greco-Roman like acting styles
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I think we did what's the play called? The Frogs?
Yeah!
We did
Aristophanes.
that. Yeah, we did that at one
Mhm.
point. We did another, well,
The Frogs is a good one because that's the one where they go to the underworld,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we did the Odyssey obviously at some point. I was just like,
Wait, that's not a play.
they put it on as a play. Not
Oh.
from, that was like the art center itself putting on,
Okay.
not as part of like education.
Okay. That'd be fun to see.
That one resulted in some of my best friends from those years. Like, we're still in
Aw.
touch. I mean, I haven't seen them
Aw.
in like a decade, but
Oh. Are they watching the stream? You should
No,
make them watch
probably
the
not.
stream.
I will, the next time I log into Facebook, so like probably a year or two from now, I will message them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like... Greek theater is really fascinating because it's got the
We did another actual ancient Greek play, and I can't remember what it was.
the unities, right? Or
Mhm.
what they're called, where it's like all the play takes place in the same time,
Yep.
the same day, or like real time, I guess.
Mhm.
Same place usually. There's a few plays that don't have the same place, but
Right.
and then what's the other thing? I feel like there's a third thing to the unities.
I wouldn't remember.
But it's fascinating to think of, like, yeah, how they did it all. The Bacchae would be awesome. I would love to see the Bacchae parade around with Pentheus' head on a thyrsus.
Nice parade style.
Yeah. Well, and because they wore masks,
right?
You just take the mask from that actor and put it on
some sort of
the staff,
yep.
and walk around that way.
That's
All right.
true. Makes stuff like that a lot easier to handle.
Oh, do we get to learn from Aspasia?
I mean, it seems like it. Well, but not really, right? She'll just
Yeah.
talk to us at the beginning and the end.
I guess.
Welcome, wanderer, to one of
Place
the
time
most
action.
prestigious places in Greece, the theater.
Yes, action is the that there's no B plot.
Right.
It's just one plot. There's no thing. There's no like.
Which I like.
Yeah, I appreciate as well. Thank you.
tell you, but I think it's best to let the actors speak. for
She
themselves.
never answers the actual question of what do you think of this place? Actually, most of them don't answer what do you think about this
Yeah, they
place.
just kind of are like, oh, blah 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 blah.
The theater was where audiences gathered
Gorgeous.
to watch plays.
Are
They
we in
were the
Athens? It must be in
highest
Athens.
form of art in Greece.
Has to be Athens.
And people saw theater as a symbol of complete harmony between the mortal world and the divine. When you're
So-
done taking in the sights and sounds, come see me, and we'll talk more. Until then, wanderer.
So we are in Athens, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We are right in front of the Theater of Dionysus,
Okay.
which today does not look as spectacular as it probably did. I think it
I mean,
likely held
I think that's
something
fair.
like 15,000 people.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, it was big.
Huh.
But it starts off, it seems to have started just with what are called icaria, which
Mm-hmm.
are wooden bleachers. And then over time,
Did they?
it becomes stone.
Right.
But plays aren't put on a regular basis. It's not like the Globe Theater or something where
Right.
like Shakespeare is. They are only put on for religious festivals.
Oh, okay.
And so the city Dionysia was one festival where they would have plays.
Huh.
And it was in early spring. Anyone who wanted to come could come, from what we can tell,
Sure.
I guess. But you would go to the theater, right, and you would watch the plays. There would be 4 days of plays. The first 3 days were tragedies.
Yep.
And a playwright was selected for each day, and they would put on a trilogy of 3.
Sure.
They don't have to be related,
Okay.
actually. The only trilogy we actually have preserved is Agamemnon, Libation Bearers, and Eumenides, called the Oresteia. The 3 together is called the Oresteia. But yeah. But, so you wouldn't need, like, a permanent structure for something
I
that
see.
was only held
Right, yeah, because you're not in here, like,
on a
every week or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly. But then eventually it gets turned into stone, and then eventually it also like the building actually this way. Yeah, that building right there is the Odeon of Pericles,
Okay.
and that is where they would like keep all of the supplies for
Right.
like the staging equipment
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But it was also used when they needed to vote on stuff and they didn't want to go all the way to the
Really?
yeah. They
Huh.
would sometimes vote there because it's a big enough space.
Yeah.
They would also use it as a mustering station if there was like an emergency or something. That thing though is made of a lot of wood, and so at one point when the Romans, Sulla, I think it's Sulla's invasion, is that right? Was invading Athens. The Athenians burned it themselves to the ground because they
To
didn't
prevent
want
them
him
from-
to use it for siege weapons.
Yep.
I think it's Sulla.
Okay.
Yep, altar. So because it was a religious festival, they really couldn't do, there were some things that you could not do on stage.
like
One
what?
was enact a murder.
Oh.
Or technically a suicide, but we do have one. We have Ajax is a play
Yeah.
where Ajax commits suicide on stage. But for the most part, you don't show bloodshed on stage. Instead, you show the aftermath of the bloodshed.
Interesting.
And so they would have these, the stage would have kind of compartments and like secret doors and stuff that would rotate to show the dead body.
Interesting. I knew about that part of the stage. I didn't realize why they did it that way.
Because it's a religious...
Is this the same way where you
performance.
can't let people be born or die in some of the temples?
Right.
Theater is not just part of geek
Whoa.
culture, but was a major part of
culture.
Greek culture.
This is such a departure from all the other narrators.
Songs originated from the dancing and
It's so
singing
modern.
performed by members of the cult
culture.
of Dionysus. Between 536 and 533 BCE, theater's burgeoning importance in Athens was demonstrated when the responsibility of organizing tragedies was entrusted to the Archon, the highest-ranking magistrate in the city. From then on, theater grew rapidly in popularity, and soon
Someone might
a
be a
permanent
theater
space
person.
for performing
I'm not
and watching
offended.
plays
I was a
built
theater
on
person,
the
and we were all
slopes of the
geeks.
Acropolis. During the 5th century BCE, theater became intertwined with Athens' democracy. It often functioned as an echo chamber for political ideas, and in some
lot of
cases, it
Aristophanes
could even
in the comedies.
influence public opinion. As a result, in the 4th century BCE, Plato coined the term theatrocracy to describe his city's politics.
Kind of like social media, in a way.
Oh, never mind. Mine was gonna be a Star Trek Voyager reference.
Oh. What was...
There's an episode that like echoes Greek playwrights in a little bit. It's late in the series, like it's when it's started like post jumping the shark era. Belanotaurus like crash lands on a planet,
Yeah.
and some playwright discovers her.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember this one, barely. I remember
But like
being like, oh my
he's
God,
talking
this is
about
so
how he
Greek.
can use his play to change like the politics of
Yeah,
the region and
yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah, it's very much like that. Aristophanes in the comedy version.
Oh, all right. We're not all geeks.
So-
We're very cool.
Aristophanes, though, he's the guy that wrote when Cleon
Yeah.
was sued him for
Yeah.
putting him in his comedy.
And you said that he just like
He was like, fine,
kept-
I'm gonna put
kept
more of
doing
you
it.
in there. Like, I'll just keep doing this. Like, Aristophanes is my hero. But even
Yeah, well-
tragedies, so not just the comedies, but the tragedies as well, were very much part of social commentary and political commentary.
Yeah, were playwrights, I don't know, maybe they didn't need unique protections, but were they like uniquely protected to like get away with this kind of thing? Or was it just that anyone could do it and playwrights were just obviously got the most attention
Kind of,
for like
yeah.
speaking out about this stuff?
Yeah, because it's kind of like preserved in this like immortal form of theater, rather than just like standing up in front of everyone and saying like, you're a jackass.
Yeah,
He's like, oh no, I'm gonna make him look like that in my play.
right. I just didn't know if like, did they get,
But sometimes it was more subtle. So tragedies rarely actually mention contemporary events. We only have
so it was like
a
you
few.
interpret what's going on to like
So-
reflect?
Yeah, so Aeschylus's Persians is one of the few that is actually based on contemporary events. And in that one we have like Xerxes,
Right.
and we actually have historical people. The majority used myth as analogies,
Right.
basically.
That makes sense.
And so Euripides especially is very good at this. He, a lot of his tragedies during the Peloponnesian, or late in his writing during the Peloponnesian War, were pretty much like anti-war. So like the
Good for him.
Trojan, yeah. So like the Trojan women is basically all the women of Troy mourning over what has happened to Troy
Right.
now that it's fallen, and watching all the women basically be distributed or killed or whatever. So like Astyanax, the son of Hector, gets thrown off of the walls of Troy.
Oh, I vaguely remember this. Yeah.
Polyxena gets sacrificed to Achilles, but then like all these characters get like doled out to the Greeks to be taken back as slaves. So it's
Right.
like, look who suffers the most when men make war. It's the women and children. And that's what I think Euripides is getting to in that one. So a lot of his plays during the Peloponnesian War reflect his
Like
desire to get them out of the war.
weirdly progressive.
Yeah. Oedipus, actually, also seems to be a commentary on on the Peloponnesian War early on.
Really?
Yeah, so Oedipus Tyrannus, or Oedipus Rex, or Oedipus King, is just after the plague in Athens.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just after it's a few years after the plague happens in Athens in 430. And in Oedipus Rex, the first thing is that there's a plague in Thebes.
Yeah,
and
okay.
Oedipus has to figure out who's responsible.
Right.
And he realizes he's the one responsible for the plague. And
Yep.
so this is very much a social commentary on, like, look, our leaders are the ones who are to blame for our suffering.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've read Oedipus Rex. I think that was, again, like a high school assignment or something. So it was a long time ago. But it was divorced from, like, a history class. It was probably, like, English Lit or something like that. And so I never really got... Like, I got the overall analogies, but I didn't get that it was like, oh, this is relevant to the Greeks at the time.
Yeah.
Not just some generic...
There was going to be a really cool class that was taught next semester in my department on Athenian democracy through tragedies.
Oh, that'd be kind of
It
cool.
would have been really fascinating, but it didn't fill, so they had to cut it. I was really looking forward to hearing how that class would go. I was not going to teach it.
Does that sound like a cool class, though?
I feel like I could not teach that class.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to, but yeah, I don't feel like... Well, maybe I could. I don't know.
I'm sure you could.
This person would have been a lot better at it.
Oh, okay. What's this?
It looks like a statue of Dionysus. Oh, this is the Temple of Dionysus. So this is an early small little temple. Because this area was, the theater to Dionysus. And then the city Dionysia was the festival to Dionysus. So this is Dionysus's little temple that's right here. As a way of saying, like, hey, yo, I'm watching you perform too.
Yay. I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
but
I would agree.
I was in high school and slacking off in English Lit 2 or 3 or something and didn't care enough to really understand it. I was just trying to get by.
Yeah, it would be nice to see also plays, like the playwrights writing when they're talking, they're almost with each other, and how they interact with each other through their plays
Yeah.
as well. But sadly, we just don't have a lot of... I mean, we're missing a ton of plays, sadly. Like
Right.
Sophocles maybe wrote 120 plays. We
Wow.
have 8.
120?
We have 8. 7. There's one that's under debate. Aeschylus was the same. He wrote something like 90 plays.
Wow.
We only
So-
have 7
So how do you have those numbers then? Like how many they wrote overall?
because we have their titles.
Oh.
People would sit and say, "Oh, this year, he performed this one,
And
or he wrote
these
this one.
one,
This
yeah,
year,
yeah.
this
Huh.
one," and we just would have the titles.
So it's like you have like the programs basically.
Yeah, so we know the names of them, but we don't know what they were, sadly. And it's very clear that a lot of these, the ones that we do have, seem to be alphabetical, the ones that are preserved,
Oh, interesting.
because they were stored together
Yeah.
as scrolls
Huh.
in alphabetical order. And so it's like, okay, we have these. Here we go.
Weird.
I know, isn't it fascinating?
Yeah.
I love Greece.
It's all right, I guess.
Theatrical competitions were held in the sanctuary of Dionysus Eleutherius, god of wine and patron of drama.
name
Dionysus
means, like,
was
freedom.
the son of Zeus
Dionysus
and a mortal
freedom.
woman named Semele. Stories
Semele.
say that Zeus, who had fallen in love with Semele, appeared
Semele.
to her holding a lightning bolt in his hand. Semele was tragically struck dead by the lightning, but Zeus managed to save her unborn child, keeping the embryo in his thigh until it fully
I'm excited
gestated.
to hear
This
what...
is why the name Dionysus is sometimes thought to mean born twice. In Athens, theater was a part of the cult of Dionysus, and stage productions in the god's honor were held during festivals like the Linnea and the Great Dionysia.
So the Linnea is for comedies.
Okay.
The Dionysia, 3 days of tragedies, 1 day of comedy at the end.
Yep.
All right. So Semele,
Sure.
yes, mortal.
Semele.
Semele. Yes, mortal.
Yeah.
All right. So why is Dionysus
A
a
god.
god? That's an issue.
Okay.
But the most popular version goes that Hera was mad that Zeus was basically going to have another kid with another woman.
Yep.
she's not terribly too much concerned with the fact that, he sleeps around with other people. It's more of when they get pregnant.
Kids, sure.
Right? So Semele's pregnant with Dionysus, and she tells people that it's Zeus's baby.
Oh, okay.
And
so that probably doesn't make Hera much happier.
Yeah, that's exactly what irks Hera. So Hera goes to her in the disguise of an old woman and says, like, look, if this is Zeus, you should ask him to appear to you in the same form that he appears to his wife, Hera, in his godly form.
Yeah.
Sadly, though, this is very much like, have you ever seen the movie Dogma?
I actually haven't, no.
Oh, man. Okay, so in Dogma, you can't listen to God's voice because it will make human heads explode.
Right. Yeah, I figured we were going in that direction.
This is the
roughly.
same, where if you look on a god in their true godly form, you basically, like...
Explode-ish.
Yeah, explode. So he appears to her with all of his lightning and everything.
Yeah.
And, like, Ovid says something, too, about how, like, he took his less powerful lightning bolts because he felt bad.
His lower level lightning bolts.
Are you gonna kill her slower? Like, I don't understand. Why are you taking your less? Because she says, Zeus promised me anything, and he says, okay, I promise, whatever you want. And then she tells him what he wants, and he's like, wait, I don't want to do that. That'll kill you. And she's like, no, if you are Zeus, then appear to me in your Zeus form. So then she gets, like, blasted away, and Zeus, from the ashes of Semele, picks out Dionysus, who's a demigod at this point, supposedly. And he cuts open his thigh and puts the baby in his thigh.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that doesn't sound like it's going to work.
I know, right?
But, okay.
But he doesn't have a womb, so...
But the thigh?
Yeah,
really? That's right. Okay, sure.
Well, of all places, right? Okay, so do you know where Athena is born from?
Forehead.
Zeus's head.
I was going to say, someone's born from his head.
Yeah, so Athena's born from his head. She's the goddess of wisdom. Dionysus is born from Zeus's thigh. Not only is he the god of intoxication, he's also a god of sex.
Okay, that
and, like, emotion
I kind of get the thigh.
So it's like,
I was thinking like drama and wine. I was like, I don't understand what either of those have to do with your thigh.
The wine is like the intoxication.
Sure.
The sex and all that stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah. It's so fun.
So really, your like, what's it called? Your like profile as a member of the Pantheon is based on what part of Zeus you may have come out of.
Yeah.
For some of these people.
For some of them, yeah. Yeah, but Dionysus also may have an even earlier origin to him as well. That he was actually the child of Zeus and his daughter, Persephone.
Okay.
And when he was a little baby, this would make him immortal, right? Because it's two gods. When he was a little baby, Hera got really angry because Zeus named him Air. And she was like, you can't name him Air. His name was Zagreus, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can't name him Air because Persephone is not your wife. I am your wife.
Oh, okay.
This is an illegitimate child. So
Sure.
she gets mad. So she gets the giants or the titans or the cyclopes. I can't remember which ones. I think it's the cyclopes. To tear him apart. To tear the baby apart.
Yeah, that seems fair.
That's not going to kill him now. But
Oh, right,
he's
'cause
like
he's immortal.
now in a bunch of pieces. So Zeus swallows his heart and then has sex with Semele and impregnates Semele with the heart.
Man, Greek myths are so weird.
Aren't they fun? I love them.
Myths were way more fun before humans had a really good understanding of how like the human body actually worked.
Yeah. We're like, oh, we can't really do that. Never mind. So, yeah, I absolutely love Greek myth. It's so fascinating. Oh, the skine. So this is the scenery.
I was gonna say, is this like backstage?
Yeah.
Like where the stage manager's hanging
It
out?
looks like backstage, yeah. So
Yelling at the actors.
Around if there's like the secret compartments and stuff, or
I wonder if it'll probably be hard to show those because we can't really interact with anything.
Yeah, that's true. It would have been cool to have secret compartments though. But yeah, you have like, doors that can move and rotate, and things that can be wheeled out, and they even have a crane that flies people in.
I remember reading about that. Yeah. Because that was
The Mechane.
Yes.
This is where we get the word
Deus Ex Machina, right?
From God from the Machine.
Yeah. I remember.
Now we use it as a literary device. For
right. But it was like the actual meaning.
Because the god would fly out on stage, or the actor
Right.
acting like the god would fly out on stage and be like, "Oh, I'm going to resolve all these issues right now." And now it's like, "Oh, let's send Hulk in." That's our Deus Ex Machina now. Just send the Hulk in.
Yeah. Let him get beat up.
Our chat is very quiet.
We're not saying enough controversial things.
In Athens,
Fixed
there
it.
were 3 festivals that
Thanks.
honored Dionysus with drama performances. The rustic
Drama?
Dionysias, the Linnea, and the great Dionysia. For the rustic Dionysia, each deme of Attica organized their own Dionysiac procession. The parades were full of phallic songs, dances, and symbols meant to signify fertility, and participants wore drunkard masks and sang bawdy lyrics about the god. The Linnea was the oldest Dionysian festival. It was exclusively reserved for Greek citizens and mostly made up of comedy performances. Finally, the Great Dionysia was the most important festival. Taking place over several days, it began with a parade called a phallophori, followed by a dithyramb contest, and ending with consecrated drama competitions.
What's dithyramb or whatever?
Oh, a dithyramb is a type of song.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not as... It's songs, drinking songs sometimes.
I was going to say, the term now sounds familiar now that you've explained it.
Yeah, it's a type of song or type of poem, usually.
But I was hoping it was some weird drinking game.
But it's yeah, they're usually drinking songs
Right.
to Dionysus.
We already did that.
But yeah, you would have festivals. So there'd be a festival of Dionysus. There'd be plays put on, lots of drinking, lots of
I'm interested...
good times.
I don't necessarily want to see this, but I'm interested in how... So phallic song, I can understand how a song would be phallic. I'm interested in what the phallic dances were. Like, I just...
So there were, to give you an idea, when they performed a tragedy, the 3 tragic, right?
Right.
That playwright would also put on a satyr play
Okay.
as a way of relieving you of the sorrow from the tragedy that you just experienced. So
Sure.
it's like, let's just watch something funny to, like,
Yeah.
you know, now that we've had this, like, cathartic moment, we're overwhelmed. So, the satyr plays,
Uh-huh.
the chorus, the people that were, you know, in the singing the main, you know, part, or not the main part, but the filler part, I guess.
Yeah.
Were dressed up as
exposition.
satyrs, meaning that
Oh.
they had very erect
Like a satyr would.
strapped to them. It's not
Sure.
their own.
Right.
I always have to say that. I'm like, it's not their own, but they would have a device, usually made of leather and stuff with sawdust or something like that. But that would show an erect, and so then they would dance around
Huh.
with these erect things.
Honestly, that's not what I was expecting this to be. But,
Are there demonstrations?
I mean, one of my favorite bands has a video that is roughly like that, where they wear what they call their cowbelt.
What's a cowbelt?
It's a cowbell with, like, the mallet, and you wear it as a belt, and the mallet hangs down, and you have to thrust to get the mallet to swing up and hit the bell. This is a band called Here Come the Mummies. I first saw them perform at the Iowa State Fair, and they did that performance there,
That's awesome.
and it was hilarious.
That makes me so happy.
And then they invited someone from the crowd to come up and help them, and they put the cowbelt on this
This
random
is like,
person.
sorry, you might have to mute this or, like, bleep this. Dick in a box?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bleep.
It's like that.
A little late.
Bleep in a box? Do you want to know about Greek penises?
Sure.
So, Greek penises in
Yeah.
art are often shown
Yeah.
very small, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for this is because it was a sign of control, self-control.
Really?
So the larger your member,
Mm-hmm.
the less able you were to control yourself. So
Interesting.
satyrs are often shown with giant erections,
Yeah.
and anyone that's shown drunk in art usually has a very big erection. And so,
Sorry, chat.
yeah, it was not a thing. So yes.
Interesting. I had no idea that they
So
thought of
small
it that way.
penises are seen as a sign of self-control and rationalism and civilization, Whereas large ones are demonstrated as like lacking self-control, lacking control over your nature self.
Weird tie-in, but I mean, I guess I kind of get it.
Well, now it's like, oh, big penises means you can please people.
Sure.
Right.
But,
specifically women.
Well, yeah.
Right. They don't care.
Well, right, but like the self-control link is what's surprising to me.
Yeah. Well, the Greeks are all about, moderation. All things in moderation and rational thought and ideas. So a lot of their myths often show and pit uncivilized things versus civilized things, and the civilized thing always wins. This is why Athena and Apollo are the most worshipped gods next to Zeus, because they are the gods of wisdom and intellect and rational thought.
Right. Huh.
So, yeah.
Oh,
fun
look.
stuff. Satyrs had very big penises. Very big.
Oh, I didn't
Trapdoor.
expect
Nice.
to look at this. But
Deus Ex Machina.
I just wanted to. I thought they were going to explain.
No,
Oh, there it is
you
on the
didn't.
skinny.
Yeah,
There's a roof
it's there.
called the Theologium, or however you pronounce it.
Yeah, you got it. Where the gods speak.
Oh, that's cool. Right.
Theo and Logos. We're just having all sorts of fun today.
I think I've learned more. Well, in a lot of these, I've learned a lot. I think I've learned a lot more obscure facts about Greek myth than I have in any other week so far.
The Great Dionysia was supervised by the head magistrate known as the Archon, who was assisted by 12 other magistrates. Among his duties, the Archon picked Korigoi, rich Athenian citizens responsible for providing the budget for rehearsals and performances. 2 days before the Dionysia, a ceremony called the Proagon took place, where playwrights introduced their work. The Dionysia finally began in earnest, with a procession to the god's temple, followed by sacrifices and a symposium. The next 2 days centered on dithyramb contests, while the final 4 days were dedicated to drama competitions. The contests' outcomes were decided by 10 judges, who were appointed at random by the Archon. The judges placed their votes in an urn, and 5 of the votes were randomly picked to determine the winner.
So...
I feel like you were about to say something.
I'm going to say a bunch of things, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I probably can't talk about penises too much more without getting kicked off of Twitch, so I'm going to stop. But one of my friends... Yes, some of these people are my students on here. So one of my friends, and she just gave me permission to say her name, so I'm going to. Dr. Habib, at the University of Tennessee. She also voiced in on the whole penis size thing. And she said it's also a male versus female thing. Because females are often depicted as being voracious in their sexual appetites.
Okay.
Because they can't control themselves.
Sure, but how does that tie into penis size?
So, well, but also, like, they don't care about pleasing women with their, so they're already that way.
Okay.
So you have women often depicted as being, like, overly charged. If you ever, like, read or saw Lysistrata.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're, like, they can't even contain themselves.
Yeah.
Even though, like, they're not the ones that have a physical thing on them that could show when they're aroused.
Right.
Unlike some genders. Gender.
So
The single. There is a gender and sex class at the University of Iowa. It is taught by Dr. Celsiana Warwick. I've heard very good things. She's also developing now, I'm gonna like spoil this one, race and antiquity class right now.
Ooh,
Sounds
that'd
very
be
exciting.
Yeah.
Very relevant.
Yeah, I was gonna say
today as well.
topical.
Yes.
Man, there are times. So like when I first started, I audited 1 or 2 undergrad courses that were relevant to what I was studying, but like not, like there weren't grad level courses for it in my department or any related departments. And I realized that I could get away with that as long as I had funding because my tuition is covered. And I really wish I'd audited just some more random undergrad classes that sounded interesting.
Yeah.
Because I had free tuition. But alas, I now only have 0 or 1 semesters left. So,
Well,
and dissertation means I'm not taking extra classes.
I don't know what funding is like, but we in my department always myth TAs. are not usually graduate students from our department.
Oh.
They're
Oh, yeah, because
usually
I almost
graduates-
TA'd for
yeah,
you one
almost
semester.
did. So a lot of speech therapy people have been my TAs.
Really?
And I had an art historian, and I had someone from English.
Yeah, I think you probably don't get many psych students because typically when you're accepted, you're guaranteed funding.
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
yeah. And
it's
for
only
some
people
reason,
like
the
me who have
speech
been
and
here for too
hearing,
long.
They don't.
Yeah, because I think a lot of them are master's students.
Yeah. So I only get them for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I also had someone in translation. Literary translation.
Yeah, the psych department's real lucky because they have, I think, the second most grant funding out of all the departments. At least in the liberal arts and sciences college. Okay, we ready for this next?
Yes, let's do it.
All Athenian stage actors were male, regardless of whether they were playing men or women. Tragedies originally featured only one actor performing alongside a chorus, eventually reaching a maximum of 4. Adding more roles opened up the opportunity for dramatic dialogue. During performances, they prepared themselves in the skene, a building that served as a backstage area, before emerging onto the proskenion, or stage. The skene could be painted to represent backdrops like palaces, temples, and tombs. Its roof was reserved for appearances by the gods. These gods could be moved around with a crane called a mechane, which produced spectacular visual effects. On stage, actors wore masks and elaborate costumes.
Yeah,
For
that appearance is a little weird.
They were adorned with magnificent clothes. While for comedies, actors playing male characters wore hugely exaggerated phalluses, probably to maximize the laughs.
I mean,
I'm laughing at the fact that they did it, so I guess it works.
yeah, they would also have like pot bellies. They'd have like prosthetic, I guess.
Yeah.
Pot bellies as well to make themselves look super comical. Yeah, never gonna say the words. They're just gonna say phalluses over and over and over again. There's something else I wanted to say.
Skene.
Yeah. I guess it's not. I guess it's it.
Well, might come back to you.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm gonna go check out this. Oh wait, that's super far away. Oops.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
Aren't you
The
rude?
centerpiece of the theater was the orchestra, or dancing place. It was a large, circular area that hosted choral performances, religious rites, and, presumably, acting. Choruses were composed of men wearing masks and costumes. Any Athenian citizen could be choratai, as long as they were selected by the chorus director. Chorus members also served as the equivalent of a curtain, as their entrance and exit marked the beginning and end of the play. New costumes and
scenes.
masks were produced for the chorus for every new play, and they were often just as impressive and elaborate as the performances. For example, Aristophanes' comedies feature the chorus dressing as wasps, frogs, birds, clouds, and islands.
That's
One of his
wonderful, the
plays,
wasps.
The Knights, even had men riding other men dressed as horses.
We have a vase that depicts it. We have a vase that depicts it. It's really funny.
Oh yeah, wait. You said you remembered.
So they talked a little bit about the choreo guy, the people that are like producers, basically.
Right.
They spend all the money.
Yep.
I didn't catch if they told you who gets the rewards or who gets the privilege when there's a victory. So it's the choreo guy, the person that put the choreo, so the person that put on
Wait,
the
really?
play.
I
That
guess
gets
that-
like the biggest oomph. They're allowed to establish they're allowed to build a monument that holds their victory tripod.
Oh,
They're allowed to
again with the
basically do
tripods.
this.
I don't
and again.
understand.
So that was where, so they were allowed to put up a monument, basically saying how great they were for just basically spending money.
And presumably they have to pay for that too.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
So you can spend more money.
Yeah.
To prove that you spent money to get a good play.
But to put your name on the thing,
That's true. Sure.
and that's the big part, is your name.
Yeah.
So the playwright didn't get to do any of that, even though the playwright's the one that wrote it.
Yeah.
The actors, we know very little about actors, really. Yeah, and so like this discussion on like scenery as well, like was scenery reused? We know very little about like this kind of thing. So what we just get the basics, because the plays, even in their preserved form, on the scrolls don't even say who's saying what. So it
okay,
doesn't
the
say,
Hollywood
like-
star thing. Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
The Hollywood star thing is a great analogy to this
For what?
tripod thing.
Yeah, to the tripod thing.
Except
That's
it's
a good
going
one.
to the producer instead of the
Yeah.
actors.
And yes, Lysicrides, the Lysicrides monument is the one that we have today, still in Athens, that you can go see.
I can't imagine that they wouldn't have tried to reuse the backdrop, though, right?
Right? I would think that they were like, oh, let's just... But who knows? Maybe not.
At least within, like, the three
you're only
tragedies,
putting
you
on
would think
these
you'd want to.
plays, like, once.
Yeah, but I mean, like, for, like,
So-
the festivals where there's, like, the three tragedies, then the comedy, I
Right,
feel like
right.
you're not going to, like, repaint.
Yeah, that's
I guess
true.
you could hang stuff, maybe. I don't know.
Well, actually, there are some ideas of how scenery could have changed. I don't know where I found that image. Scenery, ancient Greek theater, where the skene actually had a rotating canvas.
I was just thinking about something like that.
Almost. I don't know how, like, what is it? I saw it, so that's kind of what I want to show, but where's the image? Okay, well, we'll just do it this way. So here's part of it, where it would be like this. And then you would switch.
Yeah, I think that's
So,
somewhat consistent with what
yeah.
Allison was
So
saying.
then you would switch in a way where you would
Yeah.
switch the scenery. And so it was almost like a canvas or something, or like
Yeah, that you
they
would, like,
have
have painted
stretched
on or
out
something.
And then, yeah, painted on. So a tapestry or something that they would have painted on. That is one idea when we do need scene changes. Because we
Right.
do in the Eumenides. And actually, the Eumenides is really fascinating for its costumes as well. The Eumenides was written by Aeschylus, and it is said, I think I may have told you this one, or maybe it was Jason.
I was going to say, I might know once you get further in.
That in the theater, we have a debate as to whether or not men and women were actually in the state, could watch, if women could watch.
Oh, even,
plays.
like, be in the audience.
Yeah, could even be in the audience, right? So there's some debate, but we do have an ancient source that tells us that when Aeschylus's Eumenides was put on, the chorus was dressed as the Furies. And the Furies are terrifying, supposedly. That they have blood dripping from their eyes, that they have snakes with them, that they're like all these very scary creatures. And the source tells us they are so scary that all of the old men in the audience wet themselves, and all of the women in the audience who were pregnant miscarried.
Oh my god.
So there must have been women in the audience then.
I guess.
Right?
Couldn't the women have just wet themselves too? Like,
Nope. It was that terrifying.
Wow.
They miscarried. So, pregnant women,
don't go to plays.
don't go to plays.
Or watch scary movies?
Or
I don't
scary-
know.
Yeah, I guess we can't watch scary movies and stuff too.
Oh, is that a link to one of the spinny pillar things?
Alright, yes, that's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's very similar. I'm also gonna look up, I don't know how I would show this though. Oh, I do. It's in one of my lectures. So, hold on. I bet my students could probably beat me to it, honestly. But go ahead and
I'll do the next one.
while I'm
Athens
finding that thing.
Teatron, or performance space, could seat up to 17,000 people, nearly a tenth of the population of Attica. Its excellent acoustics made it ideal for drama, but it was also sometimes
Drama.
used for political meetings and parades. The theater was accessible to everybody. This did not mean that seating was free, though. The first rows were normally where priests and public officials sat, while the central part of the auditorium was reserved for ambassadors and guests of honor. There is also evidence that men and women sat separately. In general, theater audiences were emotional and noisy. During performances, they would shout, curse, and throw things depending on their mood, and their reactions were just as much a part of the experience as the acting.
Okay, so I took a picture of this thing that I saw at a museum. I think it was at the museum, the Acropolis Museum in Athens, where I saw it, but now it's in my PowerPoints. It looks like this. Maybe. So you can kind of see the, oh, no. There. So you can kind of see the like stage and everything, and there. Okay, so you can kind of see the stage and the rotating, and then the Makane is there as well, a little bit. There. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the
rotating and the Makane is there.
I really
and,
only
like,
care about the crane.
Yeah, I care about the crane.
I'm saying I only care about the crane.
Oh, you only care about the crane. So yeah, this is at the Acropolis Museum in Athens, I think.
Hold on, I'm investigating. Is everyone actually like full on muscles?
Full on muscles.
I mean, they all are pretty muscular.
Yeah. I mean, in ancient Greece, the
Oops, sorry.
to have a beautiful, like to have a good fit body was also a sign of having a fit mind. So you can't just be like a bookworm, basically.
Oops.
You have to also participate in games and go to wrestling, and often philosophical schools would meet at gymnasium and Palestra.
Huh.
So you would benefit both your mind and your body.
I mean, to support them, there's a researcher in our department who does research on the effects of exercise on general cognitive process.
Really?
And she usually works with older adults, but they've done studies with college-age students as well. And typically, like, I forget what the actual limits are because I haven't read the papers recently, but like certain amounts of aerobic exercise lead to improvements in like these really generic cognitive tasks like
Really?
short-term memory, working memory, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So
it's kind of the
that's
same.
why I don't work out anymore.
Oh, well, you know.
I just don't want to remember things.
Does anyone want to remember what's going on these days?
Yeah, who has time to exercise?
Who does have time to exercise?
And,
The Greeks, wealthy people in ancient Greece.
yeah,
who
I'm not
are
Greek and
just
I'm not
sitting
wealthy,
around.
so
Yeah.
I'm not exercising.
They don't have to farm. They don't have to do that. They got slaves for all that stuff. So we're going to go out to the gym and work out. Yeah.
I mean, in my old lab where I was much more poorly tracked in how I spent my time, I would often, like, if I was having, like, a mediocre day, I'd be like, it's 1 o'clock, I'm going to go to the gym, and I'll come back at, like, 3 and keep working.
Yeah. Dr. Habib points out a very good thing, too. Their diet probably had something to do with it.
Oh, right, because they didn't eat, like,
Meat
tons
was
of meat.
not common.
Yeah.
Like, meat was a religious thing. Like,
Right.
you got it with the sacrifice. So you would eat it, the god would have, some smokes of it. And yeah, that was, and actually the people that won, the women that won the Horion, the game, the running game,
Yeah.
they were given first cut of the meat, the best cut of meat.
Interesting.
So that's kind of another nod.
So you had to already
like,
be in
look,
shape to get meat.
Yeah, well, it's all rigged. The whole system's rigged.
No, I could buy that.
Yeah.
Because my diet's terrible during the whole COVID thing, and I've gained a lot of weight.
Ditto.
Because I'm not working out, I'm eating terribly.
Yep, ditto. All of these things. Oh, nice. I just want to walk more. I miss walking around campus.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
because I work sometimes at the hospital, sometimes on the other side of the river.
Hello
And so I would walk like
Oh,
4 or
yeah.
5 miles a
I hope
day.
your
Yeah.
visit was entertaining.
My step count is super
Though
low.
all
Yeah.
art forms were important in Greek culture, none had the same prestige as theater, which provided a unique experience with every performance. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Katrina, I owe you an email. I know it.
All right,
Really?
quiz.
Then let's begin. Who was Dionysos' mother?
Semele.
Semele.
Correct. Unfortunately, Semele died before her son was born, but Zeus saved the unborn baby and raised him as a god. Next,
Zeus did not
another
raise him.
question. Which competitions took place on the second and third days
Don't answer.
of the Great Dionysia?
So not only did Zeus not raise Dionysus, FYI, after he gave birth to him through his leg, he pawns him off to a bunch of nymphs in the Near East to
Oh.
raise him. In the Near East, in Turkey.
Huh.
Yeah, and then he has to come into Greece and come back to Greece basically,
Not knowing
and
anything
tell
about his
everyone
homeland.
FYI, I'm a god, and everyone's like, no, you're not, no, you're not, and he's got to fight. We have these resistance myths where
Huh.
everyone's like, no, you don't exist. You're not a real god. You're just making this up and
Couldn't-
everything. And that's
couldn't
how
he just be
Pentheus
like,
gets his
"Look,
head
I'm
on his
immortal"?
He does that.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that's what the Bacchae is. It's a bunch
Oh.
of him being like, did you not see me just destroy your palace right over there? Did you not see me make fire come out of Semele's tomb? I'm a god. And then, yeah. None of that. That is exactly why we're doing this. We're nitpicking a lot. So it was saying what was the third and second?
Yeah.
I think they're drama, wasn't it?
I thought it was drama, but I don't remember when the
I forget
Dithram
what the
stuff
question
happened.
is. You can go back to.
No,
Oops, well,
the drama
I meant to say repeat the question,
No.
but I hit down twice.
Well, now we know it's not that one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Try
it should
again.
be. I guess it's Dithram. It must be Dithram.
Yeah.
Yes, the Thiramvi were hymns dedicated to Dionysos, and the Thirambos contests were held on the second and third days of the festival. And finally, the last question. Which of the following is the oldest festival dedicated to Dionysos?
Yeah? Okay.
You are correct. The Linnea was the oldest Dionysiac festival. Congratulations, Wanderer. You're a very studious theater goer.
Yay.
Yay! Well, we have now been going for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
I'm okay with not doing a third tour this week.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too.
Can
Plus, that like extends us further. Yes.
Is that question about Dionysus potentially being from a different religion
Yeah.
possible?
So this is called what's called Synoicism,
Sure.
when you take a god from another culture and adopt him into your own.
Yeah.
Dionysus, that part of him being from the Near East seems to be inherent, like part of his mythology.
Even like
Yeah.
originally within Greek.
Yeah, and
That's-
they tend to do, if the Greeks at least, not the Romans are different. If the Greeks are adopting kind of a deity from the Near East, they tend to make that god into a hero instead, or a
Okay.
demigod of some sort. So, for example, Attis is one. Who's the other one? Starts with an A, gets killed by a boar. Adonis. Adonis and Attis are both what seem to be gods from Near Eastern culture.
Oh, I didn't know about the Adonis part.
But then they are kind of transformed into more of Near East, or to heroes more than anything else.
Right.
So, as a result, we have that sort of like demoting of them, I guess.
Sure.
They're lovers of gods.
Right.
They sleep with gods, but that's the extent of it.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah. Well, that was fun.
This I learned a lot this week.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Lots
much
of
of it I'll
stuff.
remember, but I learned it for now.
No, it's okay.
I have limited brain space at the moment.
Ditto. Yeah.
Well, you already know this stuff, so it's like cheating.
Well, and I also say it like twice to 3 times a year.
That's true.
depending on
I will
how
never
many,
say
like-
this. I won't say this stuff, I guess, until next week if
Yeah.
it overlaps.
It might overlap. You never know.
Yeah.
So, until next week.
Thanks,
we'll
everyone.
See you then. Bye, guys.
Bye.